Imagine winning a Grammy for an album you never even sang on. Sounds insane, right? But that's exactly what happened in the late 80s. And it turned into one of the biggest scandals in music history. This story starts with Frank Farian, a slick German music producer who wanted money and fame at any cost. He wasn't just ambitious, he was cunning. Frank had one idea that would change the music industry forever. What if the stars didn't actually sing? What if they just looked good while someone else did all the work? And back in the 70s, he tested this idea with a disco group called Boney M. The singers on stage weren't the ones you heard on the record. And guess what? It worked. People loved it. 14 years later, Frank decided to try again. Only this time it would get much bigger, much messier, and much more dangerous. By the late 80s, Frank gathered a group of talented session singers and recorded a new track called Girl, You Know It's True. You've probably heard it before. Ooh, 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 I love you. That song blew up instantly, but here's the trick. The actual singers would never be the face of the group. Instead, Frank hired two handsome dancers from Europe, Rob Pilatus and Fab Morvan. They weren't great singers, but they had the looks, the style, and the confidence. Frank's plan was simple. They'd lip-sync everything. No one would ever know. And Rob and Fab? They were broke, struggling artists. Of course, they said yes. Soon, the group Millie Vanilli was born. And when their album dropped in 1988, it exploded. The record sold millions worldwide, singles hit #1. And Rob and Fab were suddenly global superstars. On MTV, magazine covers, red carpets. To the world, they were the hottest new pop stars on earth. But then came the cracks. During interviews, fans noticed something odd. Rob and Fab spoke with thick German and French accents. But somehow, they sang like perfect American pop stars. People started asking questions, and then, in July 1989, disaster struck. At a massive concert in Connecticut with 80,000 fans watching, their backing track glitched. The line, "Girl, you know it's true," repeated over and over, skipping like a broken record. Rob panicked, ran off stage. The crowd was confused. The secret nearly slipped out, but surprisingly, the moment didn't kill them. Back then, there was no social media to make clips go viral overnight. Millie Vanilli survived. In fact, they kept getting bigger. Behind the scenes, though, trouble was brewing. One of the real session singers felt cheated. He went to the press, claiming Rob and Fab were frauds. Frank, the producer, panicked and paid him $150,000 to retract the statement. For a while, the lie was safe again. And then came 1990. Millie Vanilli won the Grammy for Best New Artist, the highest honor in music. But now, the pressure was crushing them. Rob and Fab wanted to prove themselves. They begged Frank to let them sing on the next album. Frank refused, calling their voices trash. The group was built on a lie, and he wasn't about to change that. So Rob and Fab threatened to quit. Frank responded with pure betrayal. He called a press conference and revealed everything. Millie Vanilli never sang a single note. The entire act was a fraud. The news spread like wildfire. Fans felt cheated. The media ripped them apart. Rob and Fab tried to defend themselves. They admitted they took the money, admitted they were manipulated, even tried singing live to prove themselves. But the damage was done. Their label dropped them. Fans filed lawsuits demanding refunds for albums and concert tickets. And worst of all, the Recording Academy stripped Millie Vanilli of their Grammy, the first and only time that's ever happened. Rob and Fab tried to stage a comeback, but their careers were dead, their reputations destroyed, and tragedy followed. In 1998, Rob Pilatus overdosed at just 32 years old. From red carpets to ridicule, from Grammy winners to music's biggest frauds. The story of Millie Vanilli is a reminder that fame built on lies always comes crashing down.